The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, everybody. Thank you for joining the webinar today. This is Jacob Locke, Director of Marketing here at One Resource Group. I'm sure most of you know me from my efforts with our instant decision platform, Integrity for Life, taking on a chunk of the marketing here at ORG nowadays, which I'm extremely grateful and blessed to do so. This is a different type of webinar that we're doing. I know we do a lot of webinars over different products and platforms that we offer. When I stepped into this position, I wanted to bring a different angle, which is helping you as the agent or advisor, better market your services. Not to say that there's a lack thereof, but there are different angles you can play within the industry. And a little bit about me and why I am even somewhat qualified to speak on the topic, which is social media marketing, is that, rewind 2 years ago, before I started at ORG, I actually was self-employed running several e-commerce shops online. So, selling silly stuff like, hats, t-shirts, consumable goods. And I was fully self-dependent on that. And then 2 years ago, I made a decision to transfer my skill sets and my talents over the ORG to where, fast forward 2 years, I have the know-how of the industry. Not to say I'm an expert, but I know what's happening with the industry, and at the same time, I compare it, with the background digital marketing skills that I used to quite literally feed myself, which is fun. So I want to be short, sweet, and concise with this webinar. I want to give you a few different ideas on how to even start, because a lot of you guys don't even know where to begin with social media marketing. I mean, it's almost foreign to a lot of people. I want to go through the differences between it being paid for advertising, organic advertising, and what kind of results you can expect. Every campaign's different, but I think this is going to be really fun. I want to keep it short, and please, please, please ask questions. I love engagement. I'm a firm believer, you don't learn until you ask. So with that being said, let's dive right on into it. If we can get this to hit the next slide. And this is easy. It's addressing why you need to start marketing online. I mean, we're all aware of it. We either have an Android, an iPhone, an iPad, and you're on social media at one point or another. This is a good way, whether if it's locally or throughout the country, getting your name, your agency name, your branding across to consumers worldwide. And the first point being is with targeted reach. Social media obviously offers a vast audience to choose from. The targeting can be precise to where the marketing you're doing makes sense. You can connect with diverse demographic that could be interested in life insurance, and we'll get into more on how the targeting works and makes sense for you. But the engagement there, you have the ability to display your expertise on quite arguably the biggest platform in the world, which is social media. This you can find different ways that maybe you have an educational series, you have a certain product lineup series, a carrier series. You can be creative with it, and at the same time, this is the most cost-effective way to get your branding out there. I mean, think about it. It's not going to happen every time, but you could post a video on the TikTok, and 20 minutes later, you have 200,000 views. That doesn't happen every time, but that's the power of it. Before I was so-called professional, I posted a TikTok a couple years back, got 1.8 million views. It was a silly video, but that shows the power of the reach of social media, and especially the marketing and what we're trying to do with it, as licensed, insurance professionals. So the different platforms you can market on. These are the four I recommend. I don't get into Twitter or X. I don't get into WhatsApp or any of that. I like to narrow it down to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Google. First being Facebook is, and this is all from my experience. I have been marketing, I am licensed and I've been marketing myself, to get applications put in force and submitted. So this is all from my experience and experience of talking with other agents and advisors with the industry. From what I've seen, Facebook's effective for annuity sales, final expense, in certain simple term cases. I've never once found a case to where it's a big high target IUL whole life case. It just doesn't happen. And we'll go in the pros and cons of each platform here in a second. But then we have Instagram. I find it effective for some IUL whole life sales. However, I find Instagram to be the weakest option out of the four. TikTok is quite surprising whether you love or you hate it. In my opinion, from what I experienced, TikTok is by far the number one option for any high ticket IUL or annuity sales. I I would love to disclose some of the things I'm working on right now, but they are relatively big cases. One's getting approved. It actually got approved yesterday, and we're working on getting another one submitted right now. Which is an IUL and annuity sale. But then Google, I mean, this is where your bread and butter is as far as if you want to consistently have a platform to where anything under $3,000 a target as far as term goes. I mean, term leads on Google are fantastic. And well, this just will play into my next slide here, which is the pros and cons of each platform. And what I'm doing right now is I want to give you an idea because every agent's different, or every practice is different. Maybe you're just a term shop. Maybe you won't look at anything below, $5,000. By figuring out which platform to obviously focus on and put your ad spend where your resources, your time, energy, you'll be able to pick and choose and then, figure out how you want to go about it. So enough with me rambling about that. We have Facebook. Pros with Facebook, easiest to navigate. Their business tool is easy. I mean, it's a good starting ground if you quite literally have zero idea what's going on with paid for advertising. They have the lowest cost per lead. You can, throw $100 at a Facebook ad and you'll get 10 term leads out of it. Only problem is if you look at the cons, at Facebook, especially with the paid for advertising, is one filled with bots, a lot of bad contacts. It's a saturated market because Facebook was really the first social platform to introduce this type of social media advertising to where everybody's been doing this for, I want to say 10 plus years now. So it's very saturated. And at the same time, there's click fraud because everybody's there. I don't hate Facebook, but I think it's a good point, a good place to start. Their organic traffic is surprisingly easy enough to where it almost makes it worth it. But as far as paid for, I would shift towards TikTok and Google. If we look at Instagram right here, Instagram has a lower cost per lead. It's close to the same as Facebook. Instagram has great engagement if you're able to target the correct audience. If you don't have the targeting down on Instagram, your posts are going to be getting in front of the wrong people. As bad as it sounds, the 17, the 18-year-old girls or people that really aren't on Instagram to really consume knowledge about an IUL whole life term annuity. The cons of this is once again a saturated market. Instagram is really behind Facebook. I know they're one and the same with Meta now. So a lot of their pros and cons are the same. Demographics do differ between the two. Facebook is an older audience, whereas Instagram is much younger, like I referenced earlier. And Instagram is very dependent on, all the platforms are, but Instagram is very dependent on a visual centric nature. So you have to have attractive pictures, you have to have attractive videos. And I'm just not a big fan of Instagram if you're going to be putting resources into this. TikTok here, and I'll try and speed this up for you guys. I'm not trying to prolong this, but TikTok, most eyes are on TikTok. Everybody's on TikTok nowadays. There's a lot of traffic and it's a lot of new traffic. The targeting is great. You can really niche it down to who you're really trying to point out. There's higher ticket sales, I promise you on that, especially in the IUL, the whole life space, infinite banking. That stuff is super attractive on there. And TikTok has the most viral potential. Like I said earlier, I posted a stupid video and it got close to 2 million views. Imagine if you could do that along the lines with, something that, we're doing in our space. The really only con that I could think of with TikTok is that it's very dependent on video content. So if you got to have, I mean, that's what it is. You need to find some way to edit your videos, make them look attractive to drive traffic to it. Um, and then lastly, here we have Google. So some of the pros with Google is that it's the largest search engine in the world for one, but two, it's great for local advertising. It has a huge reach, and like I said, it's more of for those easy term sales. I mean, Google's perfect for it. If you put the right amount of money towards it, you're going to at least get a few requests a day. Some of the cons with it is that it's dependent on keywords. So if you really don't know what you're doing with SEO or anything of that nature, it could hinder you. But as long as you have a good idea of what you're doing with that, it's not that big of a con. Once again, click fraud, I don't find it as big of a problem on Google as I do on Facebook. And I put a con complexity for beginners. It's really not. You just have to be detail oriented with it to a certain degree, and you'll figure it out. And please, as we go, ask questions while I'm going through these. I'm more than happy to engage. So we'll continue here. This is a lot. I'm going to try and go through it quick. This is just the difference between organic and paid for advertising when it comes to social media for anybody that is concerned or feels the need to get a better idea at it. So like for one is being cost. Obviously with organic, you don't have to pay for it. You open Instagram, you post your video, you post your picture, and it's a free game past that. It's a very natural method. It relies on natural methods such as SEO, whatever the algorithm's pushing. And a key thing for organic content is that you need high engagement early on. I mean, if you're not getting a handful of likes and comments within the first 30 to 45 minutes of the post, it's probably going to die out. And that's the struggle with organic. Whereas with paid for, you can plug into Facebook or TikTok, say, hey, I'm going to pay $200. You can expect to see this amount of clicks. You can expect to see this amount of impressions, and you can expect to see this amount of leads as long as it's set up properly. So with cost, I mean, you can pay as little as $100. You can pay as into the thousands. It's really just the type of results you want to see. And this is the same thing with placement right here. Appears naturally in search engines. So when you open Facebook and you see a funny video or whatever it is, that's not paid for. That's organic, to where they saw the results early on. Facebook's like, okay, we're going to push this video out more. Facebook's probably the weakest in terms of organic content getting pushed out naturally and going viral naturally. TikTok's number one for that. To where I won't even get too in depth with it because I'm rambling on. But if you don't want to put $1 towards this and you want to try something organic, I would go towards TikTok. Visibility duration, this is sort of the same as placement, to where results are sustained over time, and they'll provide ongoing visibility. So like for instance, if a post goes viral and it's going to keep going because the algorithm's like, okay, people are consuming this, they're liking this, we're going to continue to push it. And at that point, you've pretty much won the game. Your content's continuously going in front of people, not having to spend $1. As for it with paid, it's tied to a budget. So like if I'm paying $100 a week for a month and then I drop off, nobody's going to see it. You have to keep it playing. You have to pay for it. Credibility, I kind of agree with these points here in the sense that organic's perceived by users as more trustworthy. They're posting this for the sake of posting it. They want to educate you. They're not paying for it. It's more of a warm intro to the client, whereas with paid, the client knows you're paying for it. And it's not to say paid's bad by any means. I'm just saying that's really the difference of credibility. Paid for is you're trying to get in front of people, whereas with organic, you're just letting whatever happens naturally, which is fine. Speed of results, like I said, organic, it just depends on the engagement you're getting. I mean, there's not much more to that. I mean, you could post something in 5 minutes from now, and it'll either get a decent amount of views or it won't. Whereas with paid for, you can expect what type of results you're going to get: the clicks, the impressions, the form submits. That's really the difference between the two. I personally do a mix of both. So like on Instagram, I'll post 3 to 4 pieces of content a week and then have an ongoing ad. That way, when the people go to my ad and they're like, oh, this guy actually knows what he's talking about, what they'll do is they'll click on my profile, look at all my organic content, and then they reach out, which is interesting. So we'll skip over to here. This gets into the importance of targeting, and I'm sure you all know this. How relevant it is: cost, increased conversions, enhanced user experience, and segmentation. You guys can read these. I'm not going to go through every one, but the example and what I'm trying to get at here is if you're trying to sell term, you're going to want to target it differently than if you're selling IUL or if you're selling an annuity. Whether that be the demographics, the behaviors, the interests. So for instance, like if you want to do term and you almost want to do it as a mortgage protection play, you're going to segment it as people looking for mortgage protection or new home buyers, stuff like that. Whereas with an IUL, you may want to target it, people that are looking for alternative, and I gotta be careful when I say this, but alternative investing strategies, the stock market, indexes, stuff like that. You want to make sure, and then annuities, doing rollovers, bonds, just stuff like that, easy stuff that we know. We just have to convey it over the platform and be willing, to attempt to do so. So this is a good slide. I'm going to pause for a second to see if there's any questions. I got a question here. What are your thoughts on LinkedIn? I mean, so like for me as a licensed producer looking to sell policies, I don't look to LinkedIn. I look for me as an individual producer, I looked at LinkedIn as an opportunity to, maybe write an investment firm's business or a P&C firm's business. It really find the niche of anybody that has a book of business, but they don't have the time or the energy to write the life insurance. That's the angle where I come in. Hey, I'm your all-in-one life insurance guy that will split comp in half and you don't have to do any of the work. That's the angle I find with LinkedIn as a licensed producer. Not really going straight for the end consumer. You can, especially if you're going for business owners. I just personally don't do a lot of that. See if there's any other questions roll in here before I keep going. Give it a second. Okay, cool. Looks like we're good for right now. We'll go to the next slide. Oops, skip one over. Let's see. All right, so how much do I need to spend? I mean, I'm sure you guys are thinking that, you understand the difference of organic and paid for, whether if you came into this webinar knowing so, or, just now figuring it out. How much you need to spend is completely dependent on what you want to see. Like, so like I'll give you an example of the cost per lead per platform. So like, let's start with Facebook. I mentioned that Facebook is the lowest cost. They are the lowest cost. You can get a term lead for $10. The only problem is that lead 9 times out of 10 is going to suck. It's going to be a bad number. It's going to be a bot, or they're not going to pick up. With Instagram, it's the cost per lead probably for a term lead, and that'll be the basis. Obviously, annuity and IUL leads are a tad more expensive. With Instagram, it's probably 15, 16, 17 bucks, but still it's the same thing. It's a meta platform. You're going to get a lot of bots. You're going to get a lot of bad numbers. I still don't recommend it. Whereas with TikTok, I mean, you can get a term lead for 20 to 25 bucks. And I promise you, I haven't had one bad number come through a TikTok lead. These are all blue messages, all iPhones. You have your occasional Android, which is okay. No offense to anybody that has an Android out there. But TikTok has the best content or best contacts. It's not going to be any bad numbers or anything like that. Your ad spend going with TikTok is going to be well worth it, and you still have the potential for that organic reach as well. With Google, Google is by far for a term submit, and their lead is the most expensive. It's probably 30, 35, maybe $40 for a lead. But once again, these are a lot of good contacts. And I find Google leads to be the most engaged personnel. These people are, a lot of my calls go, hey Debbie, saw you submitted, this isn't what I say, but submitted some information about getting a new term policy or getting a term policy. Do you have any idea what you're looking for? And you start the conversation. She's like, yeah, I'm looking for this. Okay, here's your number. And what do you think of that? And we know how the conversation goes. They either like it, and they need to think about it. And if they like it, I mean, all right, hey, you got a few seconds to fill out some information. I promise you, with the Google leads, that conversation goes that direction a lot. It's just plugging, what and what we're learning here into the actual platform and putting some dollars behind it. So in all, how much do I need to spend? It's really up to you. Anything north of $100, $200, you're going to get some leads and you can start making those calls. I'll show you here with the slide some of the experience I've seen with other agents that I'm helping market this as far as app count goes. So, a lot in the first month of what you're going to do is testing. If I'm doing a term campaign, am I really targeting the right people? So I'm going to set up 2 different campaigns. It's going to be one with these keywords and this demographics, and one with another. And you'll find throughout the months that it'll increase. And that's when it gets fun. You start getting some stuff going paid, you reinvest the money, you get in front of more people, and that's fun. I love doing that. So, and like I said, I mainly use Google and TikTok. I use Google for term business. I use TikTok for anything on the permanent side or annuity sales. And this slide I wanted to add is, what would I do if I were just starting to run a campaign? Well, one, I'd figure out what I'm going to sell. Is it going to be term, annuity, IUL, whole life? Who am I selling it to? And where am I going to sell it? So you figure out the what, the who, and the where, and then you just test the heck out of it until it starts working. And I know there's going to be bumps and it's not going to all make sense. I mean, that's why I'm here. We want to help you as the agent, maximize the most out of your time. So if you need the lean on me, the help, hey Jacob, I need help getting the start. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm more than happy to help to do that. I mean, this is fun. So this is what I do, and this is how I started marketing my services in the financial service space. I had to figure out what in the world am I going to sell. Who am I going to target? The younger generation? Am I going to anybody from 30 to 45? Am I going to target people the 50 to 60? Am I going to do a final expense campaign to where it's 65 plus? It's just that what you got to figure out. And what you'll find is that the conversion will go down, the cost on ad spend will go down. All those metrics that you got to worry about will go down when you figure out these 3 main questions right here. We'll see here. I mean, that's all I got. Like I said, I don't know how long I've been going here. It looks like about 25 minutes, which is perfect. This is where I want to open it up to questions. I could sit here for the next hour answering any questions anybody would have. I really just wanted to give you some ideas and a foundation to start thinking about exploring this, because like I said, everybody's on social media. If you're not on social media, I'm like, what are you doing? So we have another question here. The financial services world is totally saturated as far as online marketing goes. Is that what you're referring to? Because I do agree, but there are people doing it. You just gotta, that's where, and this is a whole nother conversation, which is content creation. You gotta find a way to stand out instead of what everybody else is doing. And we all know that. It's just a matter of doing it. Yes, he just got yes. Yes, I mean, I agree with you, but and then would you willing to be show some examples of the ads that have been successful for you? Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll tell you guys right now, I put thousands of dollars into images, so images that'll be used to market, and it's nowhere near effective as far as a video advertising goes, especially when you can get somebody to edit the video for 10 or 15 bucks, put some captions on it, make it engaging. That's where it's at. That's what 9 times out of 10, my cost for the campaigns are almost split in half when I do video. So I would recommend anybody, set up your iPhone, you know what you're talking about. You just gotta set up the camera. So that's what I would recommend as far as well. And you want to see some examples. I'll send an email out tomorrow. Everybody that's on this call of 2 or 3 different images and videos I use when I'm marketing my services. They're pretty easy to follow. And the key is engage or convince the consumer to click the button below, fill out some info, which is fun. If you had some nominal success, what is a budget amount for a one-person office? That's a very good question. So like for myself, I'm with ORG, but I'm licensed. I'm licensed to sell. I'll just be transparent with you. I spend, and this is my only form of marketing, so I spend a few $1,000s a month generating these leads. And I'm not in the negative, which is good. I'm not going to disclose it numbers wise, but if you're a one person office looking for more business and you want a new angle to go at, this is the way. This would probably be the way to do it. I knew nothing about the industry 2 years ago. I feel like I know a decent amount now, and it's what I'm doing right now on Google and TikTok is relatively working, which is nice for me. So that's why I would recommend for you. What platform are you using, or are you or are you aware of recommending for content management and deployment? That's a good question. I don't have a lot of people. I don't personally use one. I know there's a bazillion tools out there. That's a great question. I can't think of off the top of my head a company I'd recommend and feel good saying over the call. Um, we haven't, this person that asked the question, we haven't spoken a bit. Let me give you a call here either at the end of the day or tomorrow, and I'll give you 2 or 3 options that I'm familiar with. I can't just think off the top of my head, and I'll include that in the follow-up email to everybody else on this call. That's a great question. What tools or tricks can I use to help my online marketing stand out from other agents and competitors? That's a great question as well, man. I love this. What are tools or tricks you can use to stand out is one, being you. Don't be somebody you're not. Talk about the stuff you're comfortable with. I mean, it goes back to the what, who, and where. I mean, I don't have any of these fancy scheduling things. I post them when they're ready to go out. Are there better times to post? Yes, but if there's one thing, especially for the one person shop mentioned earlier, the true independent agent, is find somebody on a site like Fiverr or Upwork, send them your videos at $10 a piece to edit them, make them engaging. And especially if you have a warm market, say like on Facebook, if you have 1,000 Facebook followers and you post an engaging video, guarantee you're going to get a few responses. Oh, Joe, I didn't know you sold life insurance. I didn't know you could do this with an IUL. You'll see a lot of that happening. Like I said, I don't use a lot of different tools outside of what Google, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram gives me to track my analytics and stuff like that. Content graphics is generally the key examples of what you offer. Once again, I'll send that out to you guys. I am not able to pull anything up right now, but a great tool for graphics is Canva. It's free and they have a paid for version. The free version allows you to use really any type of graphic design, the post and stuff like that. Thank you so much. If you could share a Google ad example, that would be awesome too. I absolutely will. You'll hear me in the office. I'm the biggest proponent of Google advertising, especially just for simple term business. And I'm sure you guys have had a conversation with me at some point, or was on the webinar last week to where we talk about marketing our instant decision platform Integrity for Life on social media, to where you can quite literally wake up and policies are put in force and you have no idea. Google ads for that platform is an absolute home run, whether if you're getting a lead or getting a policy submitted. How much time do you dedicate to marketing on social media? A good amount. I mean, I try to take probably 2-3 hours a week to film content, to source it out for editing, or if I'm editing it myself, take another few hours to make sure the campaigns are set properly. But then past that, it's more servicing any lead gen I'm getting, any requests, anything like that. So it's a little different for me because I obviously have my job here at the brokerage doing what I love. The more social media marketing and license stuff is more of a side thing. So it's a little different from me, but I put a handful of time into it, but I still make sure I'm doing other productive things that if I were an independent agent and wouldn't solely rely on this. I mean, you need your different distribution lanes, of course. I've heard that without AI bot interaction, your leads are not going to convert as well. Thoughts? I mean, yeah, of course. What's that thing called, a CAPTCHA or whatever it is to verify it's a real person? I always include one of those on campaigns to where the bot wouldn't be able to insert a form without it. It doesn't. I wouldn't say it doesn't convert as well. The numbers may look worse, but you're getting the better quality context. So you just got to think of it from that lens. And the unfortunate thing with Instagram and Facebook is that you still get a lot of those contexts. So like I said, I mean, you might be spending more for a lead on a TikTok or a Google, but it's your every context's good. So I agree that it does not convert as well, but I mean, you're getting a better contact. Okay. We'll go one more round of questions here, and then we'll wrap it up. Ask anything you feel like I missed where you were expecting to hear in this call. I want to make the most of this. I know all your guys' time is valuable. I want to make sure we're hitting the right points and everything's making sense. And I'll reach out, whether if it's an email, phone, to have this conversation. Where are you at with it? Do you want to start it? Just different ideas like that. So we'll go for one more round of questions here, and I'll let you guys be. Give it a second. Got another question here. In terms of compliance, what guidelines should we follow when promoting your services? That's a good question, because I mean, I don't know if you're with an actual firm that has a compliance team. Are you the one-man shop independent agent? Just depends. Like, so for me, for instance, having my license and almost playing that role as an independent agent, I am my compliance. As long as I don't post anything alarming to the social platform, such as guarantees, or you can't really get in too deep on the advertisement with pricing. As long as you avoid those, I mean, you really don't have too much to worry about. Now, if you're with a big firm, or if you have a compliance team, that's a completely different conversation. Do you do any email marketing? Oh, I love email. Yeah, I love email marketing. I don't do a lot of it for me as a licensed producer, just because I don't have enough contacts to make it worth it. But on the brokerage side, I mean, I head up all of our email marketing nowadays, and on a client basis, I mean, it's great. That the idea with what you're doing on the paid for side of things on social media is that you take these contacts that you're generating and you throw them in your email marketing software, to where you do drip campaigns. So whether if they buy, when you call them or not, they're going to buy at one point through the email marketing that you're doing. So I love it. And I always tell people, I mean, be proactive with email marketing, social media marketing, and have some type of website presence. I mean, you got to send these people somewhere. Okay, give it a few more moments here. Please ask any questions. Let me see if I've had anybody raise their hand. Still new to the software, so bear with me. But this has been fun, guys. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Give it a few more seconds here. Another question says, are there any specific content types that perform well on different channels to drive engagement? Yeah, I mentioned earlier how to approach each different. Sorry, I'm trying to think out how to properly answer this. So the difference between each platform and what type of content it favors. I did mention the campaigns I do. Video always does better than, say, graphic images. So I mean, I just recommend doing video and then having a hint of graphic here and there. Video is more engaging because they're actually seeing your face, listening to you, and you're able to use your your sales ability, which I think is huge. So that's an easy answer to it. Let's see, we got another question here. What are the key elements of a successful marketing strategy? For life insurance. I mean, it goes back to the, who, what, where. I mean, once you figure those out, you won't have any problem. All right. Looks like that's about it for questions. I appreciate everybody hopping on. Like I said, I might as well just give my phone number here so you can reach out. My direct line's 260-469-9132. You can call me, your life rep, your annuity rep here at ORG. We'd be more than happy to take 15, 20 minutes to continue the conversation and dive deeper into it to where you're actually getting the point, to where you're driving lead gens, you're submitting apps, and hopefully your life rep here is like, holy crap, how you doing this? That's where we want to get you, to where you're waking up and you have to submit a few apps, and that's where it gets fun. So I'll let everybody go off of this. I appreciate your time. Any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Once again, I'm Jacob Locke, Director of Marketing here. This has been a blast. I appreciate everybody's time. Thanks.